Right on over here, sir.
It's simple. Who are you?
I'm Francesca Rizzo. I'm Tracy
I'm Laura Gasperini, l'amore Corto.
So Tracy, I have a question for you. How did you find Jesse?
Well, we live in Williamsburg, and my husband, Zena, we worked together in the studio, and I was doing a workshop on filmmaking, and he knew that I was looking for a subject. So that day, every day we would see Jess in the subway playing. So he'd gone to work ahead of me and said, I saw this guy playing, and he's really great, and I think he might be a good subject for your documentary, so you should ask him. And sure enough, I approached him, and he said, I'd love to do a documentary, but let's go ahead and do it. It can only help me and help my music, so that's how I found him.
Awesome. Nice. We got anything else going on out here? Spark some questions. I'm coming. Shout it out.
I'll shout.
Okay.
This is a question for Laura and for Fran. Because you're dealing with more creative subjects, how do those topics come to you, and what inspires you as a filmmaker?
First of all, I'm one of the producers of the film. I'm not the director, and I was also the assistant director though on set. The story was written by Valentina Vincenzini. She was living in New York. She doesn't live in New York anymore. She went back to Italy. And she wanted to tell the struggle of all the Italians, basically, especially the ones that live abroad, and there are so many, nowadays. She wanted to show how hard it is for people to make their dreams come true. And I think this was the best way. It's actually a true story, because it was hard for us to make a film without budget at all. But we were able to find funds for it by finding sponsors, by talking to Italian restaurants that were really happy to help us economically, and crowdfunding, of course.
Can I ask a quick follow-up?
Sure, go ahead.
Just in terms of your passion for the project, what is it about that spoke to you in terms of your involvement? I mean, you said you're working on a small budget. It's clearly a labor of love.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about your background and why it was so interesting to you.
Okay, yeah. I met Valentina during an interview that she did for me. She talked about the story that she had, and I find it so cute, and it's like, because she wants to tell like a love story, but in cinematic terms. So I found it really, really interesting, and I said, we have to do something, we have to produce it. So that's it.
Thank you.
I don't know if this, no, it does. I think you have to press the thing in. Technical difficulties. So I'm a big fan of Fellini, and I have a quote of his that says, all art is autobiographical. He says the pearl is the autobiography of the oyster. And I always thought that was really a fascinating metaphor, because, a little piece of grain of sand gets into the oyster, and then the oyster keeps producing this fluid that covers it until it becomes a pearl. So I always think that, most ideas that the artists have do come from some little grain of sand that gets into their life, and, they just start coating it with creativity and imagination until it becomes this pearl. And so that's how Sullivan came about. I happened to bump into an old boyfriend, and we went back to his apartment, and he had told me this ridiculous story about him being Sullivan, and so I wrote it as a play. I had a little theater company at the time down in Little Italy, and so I wrote it as a short play, and the span of time from it happening till the play went up was about a month and a half, so he got to see it, and then we never saw each other again. But I just thought it was like he was not aware what he, his decision didn't seem to make sense to me, and I thought I would explore that, in a play form. And then when I decided I wanted to move into filmmaking, everybody had always said that particular play of mine was very cinematic. So I thought, well, that's a great one to start with. So I transformed it for the screen and shot it. I'm gonna have to run so I can prepare the tech for my my little course across the hall.
Go right ahead, friend.
Thank
Thank
you
you
all.
so much for answering those questions. What else we got out here? Anything? Go ahead, shout it out.
Where is Jesse with his music now?
He's come into the studio with this, and done. He and Peter are working on a demo reel or demo tape for something. But he's been on The Voice and America's Got Talent, and he didn't make it obviously to the final round, but he's still in Williamsburg, and he doesn't busk at that same stop. You'll occasionally see him at Union Square, and he goes to, he's in Park Slope a lot, but what's funny is at the end of the movie, there's another part of the movie that got cut off. So after the credits go up, and you guys didn't get a chance to see this, but the screen closes, and then it shoots, the scene goes right back into the subway, and you hear my voice, and I'm saying, and I made the assumption, which was wrong on my part, but it worked well for the film, and I said, Jesse, what are you going to do now that you aren't going to busk anymore? What is it that you want to do with your life? He said, well, I don't want to stop busking. I just don't want to busk for my food and for my rent, because I love this. And then the screen stops right there. So it's okay, but that's what you missed. But he loves to busk. He really loves it. Now, he does wish that he had more money for rent and food, but he's doing okay.
Great, thank you. Any last?
I just have a question. As a woman, what kind of obstacles are you facing in the film industry that is mostly dominated by males? And for those of us who aspire to walk in your footsteps, what advice can you give us?
It's interesting because, honestly, I kind of have that personality where it's kind of, I've not had any so far. And you have to understand, I started this late. I'm 51, and I didn't start doing this until I was 50. So I'm not saying that there aren't any challenges for us as women, but because it's been a short period for me, and also because I'm at that point in my life where I'm not paying attention to that much. So I would be, you're much younger than I am, so you might be a better, person to help you with that. But I've had no issues with that, because I just kind of go forward. I don't pay attention to anybody. I'm just doing what I have to do, and I'm making my films, and that's that.
I have to say, it's the same thing. I don't find any difficulties. Maybe because I'm an assistant director mainly and a producer. If I was, I don't know, a camera assistant or a DP, that would have been different. I know a lot of girls DPs. I know a lot of assistant directors that are women. So it's changing, for sure.
Great, thank you so much, ladies. It's time to wrap up now. Thank you again.
Excuse me. Could I just have the audience's attention? A black Dodge